about. I hit /home. Somebody else made a home controller. There's no code in my system that said new home controller. Somebody else called /about. So that right there tells me something interesting. I can probably make a guess, remembering that I don't know anything about MVC and I'm learning, and I could maybe copy-paste this, change the name of the method. Is that a bad word here? I hope not. I was walking down by the Anne Frank thing, and there was a street that was called Van Poot. Is that a bad word? Because it was kind of it's a little bit off color in the States. I could have called that the poot method. I'm going to say /home/poop. I have babies, so that's why I've got poop on the mind. Not literally, but you know. So I just hit /home/poop, and now I'm here. So that right there, we're starting to absorb new bits of information. We're starting to learn a little bit more about how this works. In the old Microsoft days, I probably would have edited a config file, and there would have been some XML involved to do this right here. In order to map that URL to a particular method, I would be in the web config, and the web config would get really big. But right off the bat, we can see that there's a direct relationship so far between what's going on in the URL and what's going on in my application. Just by naming it poop and calling it from that URL, I show up here. So let's look at our call stack, figure out what's going on. We'll start at the bottom. This is the great thing about here is that the question is, are the Dutch too nice to leave at this point in the conversation? I really want to go. Maybe I could put my collar up and he wouldn't notice me leaving. Seriously, though, notice on the left-hand side, and I think one of the things that's funny about showing a call stack at a presentation is that a lot of people think that they know programming, but then they realize that, well, I haven't really looked at a call stack or spent any time in this window in months. The closer you are to the business, the less likely it is you spend any time here. You know what I mean? But this is the documentation. This is the place to learn about things. And if I'm assuming that you guys don't know a whole lot about ASP.NET MVC, there's a lot to be learned from looking at a call stack. See that first part there where it says MS Core Lib? This is very important. That's the library that we're currently looking at. So MS Core Lib, Microsoft Common Object Runtime Library. So there's your CLR, blah, 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 CLR, blah, blah, blah. That's how we read call stacks in the States. Now it says WebDev Web Host 40. That's the tiny web server that comes with Visual Studio. So the .NET Framework has fired up. The tiny web server started up. On socket accept. Somebody types in a URL. I'm accepting the TCP socket. Blah, blah, blah. Web host request process. That sounds good. Now we're looking at system.web process request. So we're inside of HTTP runtime. System.web, for ASP.NET WebForms developers, and hello in the back right there, this is ASP.NET. But if you could put your finger on something and say, where exactly is ASP.NET? It's all about system.web. So we've just transitioned from a process that fired up, started up the .NET Framework, accepted a socket, and now it's passing it off to HTTP runtime process web. Nothing about MVC has happened yet. Blah, 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 application manager, blah, 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 execute. Now suddenly we make a transition right here. This is very important. This is where ASP.NET becomes ASP.NET MVC. And what's interesting about this and why I'm showing you this is because there's value in knowing a little bit about plumbing. So I'm going to pause that for a second, and I'm going to come down for a very special moment. It's a little transition. Dun, 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 dun. So my wife lost her wedding ring. This is a problem if you're married. She dropped it down the drain. Okay? And my wife has a master's degree, business administration, speaks 4 languages. She's very smart. She's kind of Dutch, but she's not really Dutch. So I say that because I'm trying to make sure you guys understand how very, very smart my wife is. Okay? To make up for what I'm about to say. Her mental model of a faucet and how water works begins where the faucet kind of ends. She turns the knob, a miracle happens, and water appears. It materializes at the... Okay. The water goes about 6 inches and then disappears into a wormhole. So her understanding about the whole water and sewer concept worldwide is about 6 inches long. So when she lost the ring, as far as she was concerned, it had gone through a wormhole, and it was, in another parallel timeline. She's not a plumber. I am also not a plumber. But my mental model extends below the drain, down about 1.5 feet to the little bendy part. I think that's the technical plumbing term, the little bendy part. And then it goes into the wall, at that point, it then enters a wormhole and then goes into a parallel timeline. I'm not a plumber. So I opened up the trap and found the ring, which, to my wife, right, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I reached into the alternate timeline, into the parallel universe, and retrieved her ring from another world. And her brain exploded. That's story number one. My wife's sister came here from Zimbabwe as a 40-year-old woman with no understanding of how to drive. She just always took the bus. So I needed to teach her how to drive. So I sat down, and we had to get to the part about parallel parking. Okay, I am not a professional race car driver, but I can parallel park like a... You ever seen The Matrix? It's like one smooth motion, you know what I mean? It's just like... And it's just bam. Right? Not those lame kind of like, not like that. I parallel park like Keanu Reeves. So I'm teaching my sister-in-law how to drive, and she just can't get it. She's just with my car. And I said, sister, visualize what the wheels do when you turn the wheel. She says, well, I guess I turn the wheel, and then all 4 wheels turn like this. And I just can't get the car to do this. I said, no, your mental model is all wrong. The wheels, just the front wheels turn. No. Nonsense, you're lying to me. Don't tease me just because I'm new to this country. No, seriously, get out of the car. And I showed her how the back wheels don't turn, and she just... Because her mental model was there's a wheel, and then there's the shaft that goes into the dashboard, and then there's a cloud of mysterious smoke, and then wheels turn, right? But I've done Lego before, right? So my mental model includes not only steering, but also advanced suspension, because the Lego buggies have like a little suspension. And for her, I'm a mechanic. So to my family, I am also, I am a plumber and I am a mechanic. But I'm not really, but I chose to go slightly deeper. So back to call stacks and back to ASP.NET. Choose to go through the drain and maybe up at least to the wall. You don't have to go all the way to the sewage treatment plant. You don't have to learn to take apart your car and replace the spark plug